When it comes to sales, how come most employers do not know how to incentivize their salespeople? I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California, on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about incentivizing salespeople. Now, the conversation I'm going to have with you may not be the sales advice for a sales manager or business owner that you want to take, but I really want you to think about this, and I really want you to consider this. Now, if you're a salesperson, you should think about this also. And sometimes I'll get hired to go look at a company, and they'll say, hey, Scott, what do you think of my sales team? And then, being a good salesperson, I ask questions first. Like, hey, before I answer that, I need to have you answer a couple questions for me, right? So tell me about what's going on with your salespeople. Tell me about what happens. Tell me about their closing rate. Tell me about their situation. And we'll go line by line and look at the sales team. And what it turns out to is I'm going to let you know that most of the time when I look at a company, somewhere between 30, 40, or 50% of the sales staff should not be there, right? They're holding back the rest of the sales team. They're holding everybody back. And if the company gives out leads, they're eating up leads that they should have been selling, but they couldn't, right? So a lot of the industries that I work in, the standard closing rate across the board for the industry is somewhere around 27%. And for someone to be considered good, they should really be twice that much, like 55%, to prove that they're good. But, most companies, they spend so much time trying to get underperformers to perform that are never going to get there. Now, I know that's not you if you're a salesperson because you're watching the video to get better. So if you're a salesperson, just type in the box, like right here, like I'm a salesperson and I'm motivated. If you're a manager, you should type in the box and say, hey, look, I need to learn how to motivate salespeople better. Or here's the thing. Here's the conversation that we need to have. Here was my wind up. You need to fire some of those people. Like, some of them don't belong. And, when it comes down to it, they demotivate the sales staff, they slow down production, they slow down conversations. And I get it, the guy might have been around for 5, 10, or 15 years. He's a legacy or she's a legacy employee, but it's holding your sales team back. This is the tough conversation you got to have. If you're a salesperson, you're struggling, hands down, ask a manager for help, pay a sales trainer. Be willing to put money in the pot on your own and make this happen. So if you really want to know how to motivate salespeople, get other salespeople who are closers in the building, right? Like, it's cool to have prizes, it's cool to have games, it's cool to have that type of fun, but if you really want to see somebody take off, put somebody against him who's better and make them push themselves up, right? So, cool, I like it, prizes, $100, spiffs, vacations, that's cool, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't do that, but the real conversation that you and I need to have is if you really want to see a sales team take off, put more closers in the group. Because you're going to see the balances happen. You're going to see guys or girls go, I'm going to do everything I can to make this happen, and I'm going to close some deals. Or you're going to see some people go, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not comfortable anymore. There's too many people around me that are good, and I'm just going to quit. And this is stuff that really does happen, okay? So you want this. You want the sales team where everybody looks around and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to close because that guy's going to take my lunch. You don't want the person who's like, I'm okay with making 60 grand in a year, where in industry they can make 120, 150, or 200. Okay, I've had salespeople tell me that, interviewing them for a company. And what happened was I was talking to this guy one time, and he's like, hey, Scott, what's wrong with making 60 grand a year? And I'm looking around, I'm like, everybody in the room around you, when they're sitting at this table, makes $150,000 to $200,000 a year. You're in the wrong building, right? This dude, this sales guy is sales sabotage. He's going to drag the rest of the team down by the things that he does and the things that he says. So for you, if you're a sales manager, if you want to motivate salespeople, cool. Have some prizes, have some gifts, have some spiffs, whatever you want to call them. That is cool. But if you really want to motivate salespeople, get them around better closers, right? Get them around people who will get them to perform at a higher level, to push up that sales process. And if you got sales turkeys, the guy or the girl who really doesn't close and really doesn't do anything, and they're not ever going to, and this is how you know. Someone who really wants to close is going to spend their own time reading books, going, checking out podcasts, paying for their own class. Someone who is a sales turkey, as I like to refer to it, they're like, hey, I need some help, but they're not willing to invest in themselves, okay? They're not willing to go out and say, here's what I'm going to do for myself. That's a sales turkey. There's a library. If you don't have money, like let's say I didn't have money, you know what I'd do? I'd go to the city or the county library or wherever I'm at and get a library card, because it'll cost you probably nothing or $3 or $4, okay? And say, hey, I want to check out some books. That's what you pay taxes for. So if you have somebody who's not willing to even go online, download a podcast for free and check something out, there is a huge disconnect. You want to motivate salespeople, put them around closers. You want to demotivate salespeople, leave them around sales turkeys who are not going to close deals, because that guy or that girl is going to jam up meetings. They're going to ask questions that do not need to be asked. They're going to argue points that shouldn't be argued, and it's going to demoralize your sales team. Hire closers to motivate your salespeople, and you'll find out who really needs to stay and who really needs to go. Now, Here's the thing. If this is the first time you've ever checked out a video of mine, there is a subscribe button somewhere on the sides. There's a subscribe button. Click on that subscribe button. Every time I send out a video, which is very frequent, you're going to get an update that says, hey, Scott Sylvan Bell sent out a video. You should check it out, which you should. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.